What if I told you that Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin's idyllic romance, which social media has hailed as the stuff of dreams, is actually stinking? No, it's not just fishy. It's completely musty on an emotional and spiritual level. Jim just tore off the bandage of a 10-year love wound, and no amount of bleach could clean what's coming out. No one, not even VH1 producers, saw this coming. Jim didn't just speak out. He went nuclear, and what he's revealing is the kind of messy heartbreak that makes love and hip-hop. We're talking about shady recordings, twisted loyalty games, guilt tactics, and a relationship so toxic that even Instagram attempted to flag. The details as emotionally distressing. The question now is, was Chrissy ever truly in love, or was this all a long-running scam with Chanel pearls and red bottoms? Why did Jim characterize her love as steely, suffocating, and premeditated? More importantly, what evidence does he have to support going this far? This isn't just a bad breakup, it's an emotional crime scene playing out in public. Just revealed every dirty secret about Chrissy's meticulously staged story. There isn't a single press release that will remedy this. Let's start at the top. When Jim and Chrissy first appeared on our screens, they deceived the entire society by arranging lavish vacations, proposing expensive rings, and making love and hip-hop seem real. Now, Jim is publicly calling it all a lie, a performance, and a calculated trap wrapped as, for years, Chrissy portrayed herself as the ultimate ride-or-die woman who supported Jim through label wars, street brawls, and that awkward proposal rejection. That lives free in VH1 reruns. However, behind the scenes, Jim claims that she wasn't holding him down. Rather, she was confining him in what sources are referring to as a leaked emotional breakdown sent to his inner circle. Jim admits that the love was never freeing. Rather, it was caged, controlling, and this is the same guy who gave us We Fly High, and he is now acknowledging that he was grounded in the worst way possible. He claims that their entire romance was based on mind games, emotional blackmail, and affection that came with strings. Jim said all of this under oath, which is correct, during a sealed deposition connected to a separate lawsuit involving VH1. Jim dropped so many emotional bombs that the court stenographer had to call for a break in court. Here's where it gets twisted. Chrissy allegedly kept a detailed relationship ledger, a literal spreadsheet of every dime she ever spent on Jim flights, wardrobe bail money, haircuts, grills, and even teeth whitening trays. Apparently, she weaponized the spreadsheet. During fights, once when Jim asked for space, Chrissy allegedly replied, 82 on 311 by 47, I'm not going anywhere. This ain't love. The official described his voice as exhausted, but finally free. The title of the documentary series is This is a Beauty Influencer, running a hostage negotiation with Excel and lipstick. She allegedly shopped around to 3 networks, but guess what? She didn't loop in Jim Jones. One executive reportedly asked, is Jim attached to this project? To which Chrissy replied, no, but that's my version of events. And that's precisely when the deal fell through. But wait, this isn't where the mess ends. This is where the lines start to blur between public scandal and outright sabotage, because what happened next wasn't just shade. A courtroom earthquake occurred when Cameron entered the room as though Karma herself had called him. He had no showbiz, strut or PR smile, just cold precision, and a file folder marked confidential C+J contained copious amounts of evidence. One courtroom staffer compared Cam's entrance to a calm before a legal hurricane, saying that he wasn't there to support anyone, but rather to settle old scores and bring receipts when prosecutors opened that everyone froze when they saw the first page of a high-resolution bank scan, which was not under Jim's name or even Chrissy's. It read Christina Santiago, with the same birth date and address, and it was once connected to Chrissy's former beauty line. However, the account in the Cayman Islands had suspicious transactions, $25K, $50K, and occasionally $80K, all tagged as consulting services for a TV firm that isn't even listed in any legitimate records. By the 4th page, a juror asked for a break, but Cam was just warmed up, so he pulled out another bombshell, an invoice trail connected to a women's empowerment charity, Chrissy. During her alleged comeback period, Cam's legal team revealed shocking information about nearly $190,000 in donor funds that were allegedly diverted to private companies associated with Chrissy's personal brand. How was that money used for Glam Squad promo shoots, image consultants, and even a line item titled Reunion Episode Wardrobe. Yes, it was allegedly used to stunt on reality TV. By this point, Chrissy appeared to be short-circuiting her clenched, jaw-twitching fingers, and her lawyer leaned in and whispered something, but she didn't mention it. "I told you that if Cam talks, we're done because he has proof and backups." I told Jim to shut it down, but he refused to listen, so the room fell silent. Chrissy's lawyer jumped up with a privacy objection, and the prosecution clapped back. The video showed a pixelated hotel hallway in Miami, with Chrissy wearing stilettos and pacing as if she had just received bad news. The judge admitted the footage into evidence because what Chrissy, the image of the strong ride-or-die woman, was already unraveling, and what was left was a portrait of manipulation, deceit, and possibly fraud. Then, the final dagger appeared. A former VH1 production assistant, C. Her voice was nervous, but she was ready to burn it all down. Her first words were, "I watched you threaten a senior editor, telling him once that if he aired that footage, he'd never work again." The jury flinched, and Chrissy finally buried her face in her palms. But C wasn't finished yet. She submitted fictitious invoices and claimed travel reimbursements for shoots that never took place. One trip was to Turks and Caicos, which she called script development, but I was there for her birthday. During it all, Cam sat in silence in the gallery, and he showed no emotion or smirk, just like a man who didn't need to speak anymore because the truth was now being shouted over the courtroom speakers. Meanwhile, outside the courthouse, bloggers were live streaming on Instagram, Twitter was on fire, and the Among the Ruthless memes. One featured Chrissy in the middle of sobbing and read, "When you bet the house on manipulation and it goes for closure." Another featured Cameron walking outside in shades while using a courtroom cam and reality TV cam. However, the most brutal, as the drama reached its peak, a black SUV pulled up to the courthouse's side entrance. Jim was out of sight, with only a hoodie and shadows. Quietly, he walked past cameras and entered the courtroom like a ghost returning to the scene. He sat behind Cam, his arms folded and his lips pressed tight. The judge saw him ask, "Would you like to speak?" Jim calmly and softly said, "I just want the truth. I didn't know." It only took 4 words. Chrissy stood up and whispered something inaudible, but Jim didn't answer, so he simply left again, and that clip went viral, garnering tens of thousands of reposts and thousands of tabloids. Within minutes, Jim leaves Chrissy in complete silence. After Jim's last glance, Cameron didn't drop bombs. Instead, he unleashed a whole firestorm. Just when you thought the chaos was at its worst, the court wasn't finished, and yet another piece of evidence was introduced. This time, it was a voice recording from Mama Jones herself, time-stamped from just last year. The message was quiet but profound. "You think that woman loves you because she loves control. Wake up before you lose your soul and your money." It's poetic, ruthless, and right to the bone. The courtroom literally froze as Chrissy collapsed into her chair, but the judge didn't just nod along. He ordered action because shortly after that memo, prosecutors dropped the hammer and joined forces with federal authorities to delve deeper into Chrissy's financial history. That's right. Subpoenas were flying, targeting old production budgets, nonprofit filings, and business records dating back years. Her former business manager was officially under federal scrutiny, and if these accusations hold water, we're talking about tax evasion, wire fraud, and even possible RICO charges. Cameron stood up, buttoned his blazer, and left without saying anything or giving a final glance as the empire burned behind him. However, boss, that wasn't the end of the story because while everyone was glued to every leak, video, and digital flame, Yandy Smith entered the scene and spoke out loud. Where Yandy takes the stand, new enemies emerge from old shadows, and Chrissy's meticulously guarded house of cards encounters a wind that you can't stop because if you thought Cameron's folder was the big finale, but you were mistaken. The courtroom had just begun to cool down when the doors flew open again, and the name that made Chrissy flinch without warning was Yandy Smith. She stormed straight through the front doors without a back door, echoing baby hairs, and she laid the folder in one hand on her Bluetooth in the other. Her expression was icy cold outside as reporters called her name and paparazzi jumbled cameras flashed like warning shots. But Yandy stared into one camera and said she had her say, and now it's my turn inside. It was already tense, and Chrissy, looked broke. She was locked in after being sworn in, and her opening line silenced the room. I kept my mouth shut for 10 years out of respect, but today I speak to survive, and from there, she lit the match. Yandy claimed that during the 2013 and 2014 LHH seasons, Chrissy allegedly ran backstage. What does that mean? Bribes, threats, pressure on editors, and pressure on producers, all allegedly designed to flip the narrative. During a reunion taping, I had a panic attack backstage. I told production that I was being extra for screen time, but she left out that she was the one who told my ex where I would be so he could corner me. Security captured the footage, and Chrissy blinked, once before staring at the floor as if it would swallow her. Yandy wasn't even halfway done, though, as she pulled out emails printed with the timestamp. A genuine one from Chrissy to a showrunner said, "If I look bad, the whole show looks bad. Clean it up." Another Yandy's used to respond, "She'll survive, I won't boss." But this wasn't drama. It was dark arts PR warfare. Finally, the burner phone was given to Yandy's legal team. It was an old phone that Chrissy allegedly used to communicate with off-screen insiders during her tenure on the show. The texts included fake drama, paid feuds, hush money for backup cast conversations, and one message said, "Pay her." The courtroom shook, and then the unexpected turn of events occurred. It turned out that Yandy and Cameron had been working together for months, not just exchanging notes, creating a digital forensic trail of all the shady moves Chrissy allegedly made from 2011 to the present. Twitter erupted once more with hashtags flying like confetti, and Yandy unfiltered Chrissy Gate, the true love and hip-hop strategic silence, with no more blogs posted side by side. One user commented, "She didn't clap back, she held the whole thunderstorm for 10 years, while another Yandy pulled out screenshots of scenes from Marvel reveals on Reddit. Just when it seemed like Chrissy couldn't take it anymore, the prosecution dropped the final audio file, which was forensically verified to be a clip from 2019, showing Chrissy on the phone with a VH1 producer. If we leak anything about Jim being depressed, it will divert people's attention. When the world thought Jim had dipped for good, he reappeared in court with his legal team by his side. No chains, no talk, just exhausted eyes and legal folders. The judge asked if he would like to speak, and Jim stood looking at Chrissy and saying, "I just want the record straight, I didn't know." His mental health makes me look like a saint once more. The judge even took a deep breath. 4 words. Chrissy crumbled. She stood and mouthed something toward him. Maybe, please. He wants to make sure that nothing related to him is dragged into lawsuits or criminal investigations, so he has done everything he can to protect her. The documents Jim turned in were stacked, including bank records, asset documents, property deeds, and a personal letter detailing years of alleged manipulation and financial abuse. That clip went everywhere. TikTok stitched it, Reels exploded, Twitter, and it was the quietest mic drop in TV scandal history. The judge slammed down the gavel and declared that this court finds reasonable cause to initiate a criminal investigation into allegations of fraud, coercion, and financial misconduct. Ms. Lampkin is hereby restricted from traveling and must forfeit control of all active business accounts effective immediately. I didn't want to see it, but in retrospect, it wasn't love. It was survival for her. Chrissy didn't respond, didn't speak, and didn't blink. She just stared at the floor in silence. They tried to erase me, but I saved everything, including the eerie music, grainy black and white footage of Chrissy at invite-only parties, the narration, and the fact that some women build their legacy while others hijack someone else's. If this isn't the wildest, messiest, most content-rich disaster in hip-hop reality TV history, I don't know what is. Businesses locked down her image, destroyed the love story of Chrissy and Jim, and just when it seemed like the story was over, Mama Jones released a trailer. Yes, an actual teaser for docuseries opening line. That's it. From stage storylines to convert wire transfers, burner phones, and blackmail, the Chrissy and Jim saga didn't just end. It detonated. And now the fallout belongs to T-Feds, Ds, bloggers, subpoenas, and a public that has no mercy left. The IRS is reportedly sniffing around, and Mona Scott is allegedly pitching a love and hip-hop spin-off that's already trending in group chats, Love and Lockup, The Lampkin Files. And guess who's rumored to narrate it? If you're still watching, you're already on the jury. If your jaw is still on the floor, hit the subscribe button if you want front row seats to the next episode. The real question is, was this ever love? Or was Chrissy just creating her own fantasy one red carpet and fake proposal at a time? Do you think Jim was duped and misled? Or is just a bitter split dressed up as a Netflix thriller? What about Yandy, the truth teller with receipts, or the chess player with perfect timing? Explode and activate those alerts because you won't want to hear it from the inside when the next leak occurs. This isn't just a scandal, it's a war. It's receipts. It's reality TV turned into a courtroom confession. Stay prepared, stay merciless, and we'll see you in the next expose. What's next?